All right, we're going to be recording coaching on Hollywood Rapids, starting here at approach. So the guide's coming in here. Their paddle's not really in the water very much. And right here, you'll see that when she starts to go down the rapids, she's just dragging the half of her paddle. She really needs to get the whole paddle in the water. Yep, dragging there. And she made it through the first drop. Kind of again, paddles coming out of the water every time. I'd like to see a big pry right there going through the drop to help maintain the boat direction. That would have probably put her in the middle of the wade train. Okay, boat peeling out, heading towards strip tees. Let's see how they end up. So course correcting a little bit to come back to the right. Okay. Paddler's paddling in and coming through. Right here, he's going around stripper. Okay, hand comes off the paddle. Right here, freeze. Like to see that guide pulling those big sweep strokes sooner. To come back up into the eddy. And then what you're going to see is after he pulls the sweep stroke to change the boat direction, he's going to fail to hold a hard pry. The hard pry is going to help push him up into the eddy. Instead, because without that hard pry, you're going to see him slide down on that eddy line. See, no hard pry there, kind of a shallow pry. I think he could have ended up in that top eddy if he made those adjustments. All right, next boat coming through. A little far from strip tees. All right, and then we got this sideways boat angle freeze. Okay, here's kind of a tricky spot to be at. These water levels, it's going to work out fine. At higher water, you're really going to bog down the boat in that eddy line and maybe see some swimmers. Like to see the boat turning sooner, or just go ahead and teeing up going into that hole. A lot of these guides still are holding their paddle like customers. That's a little bit better. That's like a straight rudder. That's what we want to see. Paddle straight behind the boat on the ruddering to get more power, but still maybe could choke up. Came over the wave. All right, got blown out here. Need to be throwing sweep strokes to continue the direction to keep the boat going to the left. There's going to be a full spin out here. She had an opportunity on the spin out to start pulling again to ferry away, but we'll watch and let it continue. And so now she's committed to the spin out. She's turning. Now we want to start throwing sweep strokes so we can ferry away instead of letting us spin all the way. Now we're on the right side of this current and she's going to end up getting stuck. Again, a ferry angle here would have avoided getting stuck. Instead, the whole side of the current's hitting the side of her boat, pushing her straight onto that rock. Boat coming up behind, doing nice sweep strokes, and yep, want to see those pries sooner. Remember, every time if you're going sideways down a rapid or heading down a rapid, if you put in that pry, it's going to generate some acceleration. Let's see, nice shot on the wave here. He's guiding on the left, so we want to see strong draws here. Strong draws. Okay, keep going, strong draws. He's just getting overpowered on this one. He only has one customer on the left, and he's got 3 people on the right. Boat balance would have fixed that. All right, coming into strip tees from behind. Okay, again, paddle's not in the water. Paddle's out of the water. Paddle's out of the water. Here, let's get that paddle. Big draw strokes. We don't need to take short, choppy draws. We can stick that blade in the water. Here, when she goes to ferry, she's pointing straight into the current. She needs to take a big sweep stroke, use her body, and then she can get over to that eddy to the left of the boat. Right now, they're just fighting current. All right, coming into Hollywood from above. That peel out was really shallow. Would like to see folks ferrying out to get out more in the middle. Boat's pretty far right. Pretty far right, sliding down. Next boat coming in, same thing. That boat should be 20 feet to the left. That's all about the angle coming out of here. Big sweep strokes, and we're seeing that pry. That's good. So pry here, that paddles out of the water. Want to see that pry. All right, this is a good one. Not using our body on our sweep strokes. Really need to use more core. Okay. At this point, she's really, really good. All she needs to do is throw a big sweep stroke and tell everybody to paddle forward and tee up on this hole. But what we're going to see is people not paddling, and the boat's going to continue to turn, and she hits the hole sideways. And that trainer's jumping to the other side of the boat, sticking his paddle in the water. Okay, that's what we want to do, be getting out the side of the boat, planting our paddle to help keep the boat from flipping. All right, again, we're holding the paddle like a customer while we're guiding. We need to choke up on the paddle on that bottom hand, and we'll get more power on our sweeps. Still coming out of this eddy pretty low. I'd like to see this 5-6 feet to the left. That comes with the angle. No prize here. So the boat's just sliding and continuing to go to the right. Trying to use the customers to, the boat's going to the right. Trying to use too much of the customers to get the boat back to the left when all you got to do is stick your paddle in and rudder. Nice view of the city. All right. Paddle's flat. It's not in the water. We need to get that paddle all the way in the water. His hand is probably too far up the shaft. Now we want to be sweeping. Sweeping sooner, sweeping sooner. So he's paddling forward with the customers when he really needs to get more of a rainbow stroke with his sweeps. The green boat, looking good. That paddle's a little bit more in the water. Yeah, I like how that paddles all the way behind the boat, really getting the length. He had a great hit on the wave. Now he's throwing his sweeps. This is where we need to pry. Yep, he's getting some pries in, and he got some acceleration. All right, blue boat coming through here. Nice, driving closer to the inside hole. Had good distance from the big hole there. Turning. Okay, full turn, gonna commit. Right here, let's start throwing those sweeps again instead of letting it, just like that, a little late, and then we could ferry and we'd be a little bit more left. Looks like they're going to get it back. Oh, a back paddle right there at the lip. Forward paddle would have brought that boat 5 more feet to the left down here in the base. All right, orange boat. It's got good angled. It's going to pick up the gun barrel, and the gun barrel sends it left, and then you got enough time to get left of the rock there. That was proper use of that curler. All right, let's see how long they hold this angle. Yeah, I'd really like to see him hold the angle all the way to the main flow there. All right. And see how he's redirecting back towards the left. He could have done that with 2 more strokes on his ferry. And we're going to see him come into I'd imagine he's going to be coming in too far right. Yeah. Not a lot of left momentum. Paddles in the water, that's good. Bigger sweep strokes. At the base of this rapid, he could be using his hip power to pop his prize harder, and that would help him hit that tongue at the exit with a little more speed. All right, so this is one of our guides coming into strip tees. He's got good boat angle. About half the boat is in the hole, half the boat's in the green water. Let's see how he uses his paddle to come through here. Deep paddle, big draw, and he's holding his draw instead of taking short, choppy strokes. And then you saw him start ferry towards the eddy. Boat coming in behind him. Little hesitant on their paddle. Now big sweep stroke, big sweep stroke, big sweep stroke. keeping that paddle in the water longer. All right, is he catching the eddy? No, okay. So some back paddles there. So he is actually back ferrying. He's got his stern more, so the boat is drifting more towards the left on that back paddle. That was good. And now he's coming in. Like to see him just start driving right now. He's going to end up driving a little late to catch this gun barrel all the way. He got right on top of it and then freeze. So this paddle's pretty vertical here. If we can bring that top hand down next to his hip and let it hang out, that blade will be further from the back of the boat and he'll get a stronger pry or a stronger rudder to accelerate the boat to the river left. Yeah, gonna need a better brace there. Keep your paddle in the water. I like how that guy just pulled the paddle in on his hip. We gotta steer through that. We can't just hang on. All right. I like how he's at the top of the eddy, ferrying, really getting to this main flow early. You even see he's putting in some draws to kind of keep that angle. Yep. He's just really trying to stay left here. And he started that way up at the top of the eddy. And they're driving towards the gun barrel here. You should get a big lift and twist. That's what you want for your customers. He sat down for a second, but he kept the paddle under his armpit so he could recover. And nice use of the rudder.